are going to start the meeting. As we always do, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we have a very brief election of officers. I mean, it's the same slate. Nothing really has changed. We just kind of swap years around a bit. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the officers on our slate and our 2026 to 2027 year is Paul Kenworthy for Vice President, Joni Albee for Secretary, and Directors Bill Stewart and Dolores Vanetsanakos. The people currently serving, me, Jane Parrott as Treasurer, and Directors Alan Humphreys. And there's currently a vacancy because Jack Klecker moved to New Hampshire, and so his space is vacant at the moment. All in favor of the slate as listed? That are any members can vote? Okay. All opposed? Very quiet. Very good. Okay. So they are elected. All right. And that's the business part of the meeting. Today we're very lucky to have the woman known as the female Paul Revere coming to speak to us about the Freedom Trail. And her name is Sybil Luddington. She may resemble someone you have seen around Saugus 250 years later, whose name is Peggy Belmonte. Okay, so Peggy, I will give it over to you, okay. And I'll announce the first slide because she hasn't seen all the pictures.
I feel more comfortable standing, if that's okay.
This is a map of Boston as it was very early on. So the 1770s, it looked very much like this.
Okay, so we're going to start with the Boston Common, but just a little before that, there was a man named Blackstone. And he came in with the early pilgrims, and he decided that, well, half of them died on the way, the trip. Nobody realized this. It was like 3,000 miles, and they weren't used to the wind and the storms that we get in the Northeast, and a lot of people just didn't make it. And those that did, which was about half, landed in Weymouth, and then they all just either took off or went back home, except one man named Blackstone. And he saw the peninsula in Boston, the Common area, and he said, that is the most beautiful place I've ever seen. So he decided that he was going to live there. So he somehow made an agreement with some Indians, do you know what the Appomattox Indians, I think. And people have said that he always wants to pay for things, so I assume he paid them something for it, I don't know. But at that time, the Common was called, all of Boston was called Shaman. And that's the Indian name for living waters. Now, so he moved in, made himself a cute little cottage. He was a minister as well as a lawyer from Britain. He was an expert at Britain law, and that's what he would study. When he moved in, he took 180 books to read. He took some cattle, apple trees, and I'm trying to think for the life of me. I've been going there for years, and I never remember seeing an apple tree, but he planted the first apples there. And so he lived there for 4 years. There were a few, I have to correct myself, because there were a few people that did land in Charlestown also at the same time. But they found that the water was rotten. It would kill you. It was that bad. They had no good springs there, and they just couldn't survive. So they got in touch with the people a couple of friends got in touch with Blackstone, and then they got in touch with the governor. It turns out he paid They bought his land, all but 50 acres. They let him keep 50 acres. And I think he got something, what'd they say, 6 pence. Maybe know what a pence is? How much it is? I don't. Anybody? No. Do you know?
Well, something equivalent to that, yeah.
You don't know? No.
I don't know.
Okay. So anyway, I think they got a good deal. So he stayed with them for about a year. But then he couldn't stand all those people. He was alone before with, he also had it wasn't a cow, but a buffalo, what was it?
A bull?
A bull, I'm sorry. He had a white bull he used to ride around town in. I never knew you could train a white bull and ride it, but you could. So he decided it's too noisy here now. People started moving in quicker. And maybe it was a few thousand, and he goes, I can't stand this. I need to have my rest. I have to read. I have to do my own thing. So he moved to Rhode Island and became very famous, actually, in Rhode Island. And it's okay, he's gone. So now the Puritans are there. So what's going on now in the 1600s? Well, I want you to try to put yourself there. There are no sewers. There are no clothing stores to say. They had to make their own clothing. Everybody had maybe 2 dresses, one for church, one for hard work all week long. That's all they had. I mean, there was absolutely nothing to live by unless you made it yourself. And it was cold. In the winter, they hated the cold, and that was very hard for them. So they spent a lot of time in front of the fire. And they didn't have a lot of clothes. But anyway, that's pretty much, and they were poor. It was really rough times there. People, I mean, we know we have a lot of revolutionaries that were wonderful, but I think the women and the kids had the roughest time because they had to stay while their husbands traveled to London or Philadelphia and had the first class treatment. And they were there for maybe a year or 2 years, some of them. But anyway, that's where it was in the 1600s. And what was going on there was it was actually a grazing place for cattle. It was also a training place for the British Army because it was being controlled about the British. So there were about 2,000 there at that time. And it was also a punishment place. Now, the Anglican Church came over, not to get confused, the Pilgrims came over, and they wanted to have freedom of all religions, okay? The Puritans didn't want that. They wanted to purify the Anglican Church. They wanted to kick out all the Catholics. They also wanted to kick out anybody, the Quakers, anybody that would disagree with their dogma. And they had punishments for this. And they had pillories, which they put the head in, and I believe the hands in, Paul, am I right? And the people of the town were just so sweet. They'd come over and throw garbage at them, shit at them. Didn't matter, anything at them.
To the stars.
So, I mean, it was horrible what they would do to these people. And their punishments were to humiliate the people, and they certainly did that. They also had the stocks, where I believe it's just the head and the hands went in, and wham, they'd throw shells, they'd throw rocks, the other thing I mentioned, they'd throw it all. And some people died in those things, and some people didn't. And then they would be able to go home because their punishment was over for now. And they also had hangings. Now, a lot of people don't know they had hangings in the Boston Common, but they did. And if you go over and you take your grandchildren or great-grandchildren over there to play in the playground, that's where they had the hangings. So don't bring any pails and shovels. Never know what you're going to find. I just try to be funny once in a while. So anyway, and that was horrible. And who was hung? Heretics, which be anybody that didn't agree with the church. Indians, there were still Indians that were hung. Any slaves. If a slave was caught reading, he would be hung. Was horrible. Indians, people that thought they were spiritualists, and this was before the witch trials in Salem, but that's what they were then. They would have called them witches, but then they called them just spiritualists, and they were hung also. So it was a very friendly town, wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. So that's the Pilgrims in the early 1600s. So now we're going to move on. What do you got up
Okay.
there? Oh, good. You
Well,
showed the
here's
pillory.
1634.
Would have been funnier with my head in it. No.
Oh.
So they didn't close it on it.
Well,
So now we're
glad you
going to.
survived.
So in later years in the Boston Common, we're going to move up to where it's friendlier. Now it is, in 1934, they said it's a place for free speech. So you could say, this frog is my God. Do you want to join me? That's okay. But they still were not friendly with heretics and other religions, really. The Puritans say they want to purify the religion, but it's pretty much you have to be a Puritan, no matter what. If you want to be a Quaker, they'll hang you. So that's the difference between them and the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims wanted to have freedom of all religions. So it sounds confusing sometimes. That's why I like to explain the difference. So the hangings continued until 1817 because it was the Anglican Church. But by that time, they started building some new places.
So,
And,
I mean,
this-
this is much more recent places because when I took pictures on the actual common,
Right.
there's the visitor center, which
This- yes.
shows you, you know, you can buy maps and things like
And
that.
this is where you pick up a trail. What I do is
Yeah.
tours.
Yeah, trail maps are
Yes.
available there.
And
This
that's-
is the Frog Pond. that
I did,
everybody
yes. The Frog
remembers.
Pond's a wonderful place. A lot of you have taken your children to go ice skating there in the winter, and in the summer they have wading, and it's just a great place. And this is later, after the 1700s, 1800s, it became a place of joy in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
especially after they got rid of the hangings. That
They
was-
got a Christmas tree.
in spite of the fact that the whole neighborhood would come and watch and cheer on. I mean, something was in that food. I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Looking towards Tremont Street.
Okay.
Tremont Street and Tremont Temple is that church with the Nautilus on it.
Okay.
Some of these we can go fairly
I'm
quickly
looking
through.
for the second Massachusetts State House. All right, there
Oh,
near the park
we're
is. You
still-
don't want
yeah.
kids to be digging.
People building snowmen because
Yeah.
when I went on the weekend, that's what there was to do. Better than hanging watching. Yeah, and there's a snowman with hair made out of twigs and branches. And, you know, the common is large. There are a lot of things. And then there's a series of more recent monuments to things that have happened since.
And this was
The
Colonel Shaw.
Monument, yeah.
He had a lot
Civil
of you
War.
probably know that he had the first black militia, and unfortunately, their first job, half of them were killed, including him. But they helped allow the next group of militias to come in and push the British out,
Yeah.
at least off of Dorchester Point, I think it was.
On the top of the hill in the background here is the Civil War Monument. In the foreground of this picture is the Parkman Bandstand where Martin Luther King spoke in 1964, I think. I'm not 60-something. And the much more recent, probably one of the most recent sculptures to be unveiled, called The Embrace, and this is to Martin Luther King and his wife, Coretta.
Yes, which both of them have been visited here, and Martin Luther King gave an actually speech here with over 50,000 people.
Right.
And the other good thing about the Common at this time, as it got newer, Pope Paul gave a mass there. So a lot of you might remember over 200,000 people showed up. And then also, I'm trying to think, somebody else showed up. Huh?
Oh, Mandela, that's right.
Mandela and Billy Graham also was over there giving a speech. So it became a place that was great for freedom of speech for different religions, a place for the kids to have good times and picnics. The squirrels will always help you eat your dinner. And the pigeons will make you move table to table to table.
Over the years, blooming romances in the 19th century, people would stroll along the, especially the long path. You know, that's kind of a euphemism for, will you take the long path with me, is what Oliver Wendell Holmes said as his proposal to his bride.
Now, by that, did he mean to go right over to the Commons? Because
Well,
after
there
about
was a long path, so it was a
Yeah.
fun. You know, he was very articulate and clever. So hopefully she knew what he meant.
Yeah.
And this is a monument that many people miss that's right on Tremont Street. This is the monument to the Boston Massacre. So you can see it's a more modern sculpture. They've got an American eagle, they've got a sort of warrior holding a flag, and the names on the top are the 5 people who were killed during the Boston Massacre, which was March 5th, 1770. So before the Revolutionary War, and many people cite that as really the beginning, but there were quite a few rebellious statements, including the one at Appleton's pulpit in Saugus, even earlier than that.
I hate to interrupt that. As long as that's there now, I might as well talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, because it'll be at the State House
Sure.
later. There might not be time. Okay, as far as the massacre, it really was not a massacre by the British to the Patriots. It was the opposite. They had the Stamp Act, the Sugar Act, all kinds of taxes that were raised in the Tea Act, and people were just fed up. There was fights and little brawls, every barroom you could get, they wouldn't call it bar, taverns that they would get. And there was always little skirmishes going on, and everybody was mad, really mad about the Stamp Act. So there were troops, only maybe 6 of them, a few troops, just standing out in a bar, and they got in a fight. The Patriots deliberately started fighting with them, telling them that you didn't pay your bills, and chasing them down the street. You didn't pay your bills, you were going to kill you, and blah, blah, blah. And they got up to the massacre spot, and he started to get really, really scared. The British troops were starting to get scared because the more he looked, the more people kept coming. And it turned out there were over 200 Patriots there against like 5 or 6 guys. So someone noticed that they went down and got a whole bunch more, but never as many as we had, the 200. And it was just still rowdy, Nobody knows who really made the shot. Some people think there was a fire, and that could have been why they wanted everybody to run and help with the fire. But somebody said fire is what I've read everywhere. And so that's what they thought they were being told to fire, the British, and they fired. Another story is a guy fell and his gun went off. But anyway, those people, about 5 people were killed, and there was quite a few wounded also.
Right. Yeah.
And the first one, I think, was how do you say that? Christmas addicts.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother was right. Addicts, right. So that's the true story of that. Mm-hmm. Now, Paul, it was your fault. Longfellow decided to do a poem about that. And whoever did, I guess it was a funny cartoon, that's what it was. And it wasn't Longfellow, I'm sorry, it was some other guy with Paul Revere, making that a big, huge lie. And finally, a couple of 100 years later, they found out it was a real lie. That it wasn't
about the ride.
The British.
Yeah.
Not the ride, no. Even the massacre was a lie.
Oh,
they
okay.
blamed it. Mm-hmm. And John Adams actually went to court and fought for the British and won. Only 2 men were actually convicted, and they got their thumbs stamped. I don't know with what. But then they were off free, and that was a good thing. Okay, so now we're going to take you to the second State House.
Yeah. So we're on the Common looking up the hill, and the State
Mm-hmm.
House golden dome glows. It's one of the focal points from many parts of the Common. Here we go.
Okay, great. Now, if you look, you want to. We're standing right like I am, right, facing it like you are. So just the brick part was the original of the State House. On the left, and right now you see the new wings, but that's not the way I'm going to tell it. On the left side, John Hancock had a mansion. He built a beautiful mansion there. Now, he was a very rich man, and he did a lot for the Revolution. And he thought that it would be really a nice thing if every governor could have that home overlooking the common. And by that time, I believe maybe the gardens were in. And but what happened was when he never put it in his will. Remember that. And he never put it in his will. So what happened, Massachusetts thought it was too expensive after he died and the family wanted to sell it to him. That was a big mistake, but can correct it now. So it was torn down, which was really very sad. So then the other wings were put up over the years. And now if we look to the right side, you'll see, well, on that side also is a statue of the 35th President of the United States, President Kennedy. And on this side is a statue of Mary Dyer. Now, is that what it takes? You have to be whipped, thrown out of your state 3 times to get hung? And then they give you a statue? Really? But they did. We have a statue now of Mary Dyer, and it goes for freedom of religion. And she's another whole story if you have time to read, because there's about 20 years more that she lived, and it was really, it's another whole thing, but I won't. So now we're going back to the middle of the Massachusetts building. So if you look to the front doors, no one can go in there except presidents, and I believe they let the Queen maybe go in there, and also the governor can go out those doors when he's finished with his term. So that's kind of like a boot in the ass, don't you think? Nobody can use them any other time. I thought that was really something.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the only, so you have to enter by the left side of the doors. So now we're going to go up a little higher to the dome. The dome, when Bulfinch was the architect, he made the dome wood with wood shingles. Unfortunately, it leaked. The snow would come in, the rain come in really bad. So they had to take the shingles off. Well, luckily, Paul Revere's business offered to put sheets of copper over it. And this wasn't a matter of time, but they put copper over it. Now that looked beautiful, but it oxidizes, like we all know, and it turns an icky green. Well, once they had the State House here, all the rich merchants really loved they wanted to live near it. So that's where you saw Bulfinch she went home. Bulfinch building all kinds of homes all the way down the street. And behind it, and that became the Beacon Hill of yesterday and today. And believe it or not, it's still the most expensive property in the whole United States.
Wow.
Now, I would have thought Washington or something. No, it's yes. Can you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's beautiful, going up and down the streets. They all have flower pots, and Halloween, it's wonderful, and it really is a great place. And the back of it was actually a lot of Puritans that came in with their slaves, and it became a black area. And it's part of the Black Trail tour, and that's a wonderful tour to take. And part of the Underground Railroad is there, actually. Okay, so now they're into the green, but they don't want the green. They took the green off. Then they painted it gray for a number of years. Mm-hmm. And then they got the idea, I think it was in the 1900s, that let's put gold on it. And it's 37, did I say that? Yeah, I think it's 37.1 amount of gold. And they put that on it, and it has stayed there for a long time. And it has to be repaired about every 35 years, which the last time they said it was repaired, I believe they said 1987 or something like that. It went from the price of $2,000 in the beginning to $33,000 just to repair it, not the whole thing, right? Uh-huh. So the last thing on the State House, if you look, you can't quite see the whole thing, but it's a pine cone. Now, Massachusetts and Maine were all the same in the early 1600s and 17, and probably part of the 1800s.
1820.
And oh, good job. Thank you for that. And so the pine cone's there to say thank you to the state of Maine for the wonderful wood that they've sent to rebuild everything that we need, the homes, everything. I mean, it was a big thing. Now, there's one thing when you go, let's go back to the front doors. Behind the front door is the House of Representatives. There's a 5-foot cod fish. And a fisherman donated that. It's all carved in wood, a beautiful piece of cod. And he donated it to the House of Representatives. And if the Republicans are in, it's turned to the right. If the Democrats are in, it's turned to the left. Well, some nice little boys from Harvard decided to steal it. So they stole it, and it disappeared for a few months. And nobody could find it. Finally, a janitor actually found it in a closet in the State House. And they did have some repairs to do, and they did it. And it's back there, and one guy said, holy mackerel, they stole the cod? You know? So, that's a true story. He wanted to make a mackerel. So that's kind of just trivia, but it's true. And it's up there if you're ever there, take a look. Okay, so now we can move on to something else.
I did have a front
Sure,
door.
question, sure. Where are you? Yes.
Who was Hooker, who was on the horse on the
Okay.
bridge?
Hook is actually a Civil War hero, and I haven't read a whole lot about him because it's not part of my tour, and I've been studying this for 4 months. So, but yes, you're right that it's there, and it's a beautiful statue. Pardon me? Oh, go ahead. Oh, I know a lot of hookers, but you know. Okay, that's what you're right. They say that's true. Yeah.
They all women into the encampment so men could have their way, and it became the hooker group.
But
That's how the hooker.
yeah, but he was a hero also. I don't think that certainly didn't make him a hero, right? No. Okay. So where are we? Okay, now, we're going to Park Street Church.
Yeah.
This is
Not
very
very
interesting.
many steps away, Park Street.
Yeah,
Church
no,
is
we
there.
walked down the hill.
Yeah.
And there's one, I think it's 3, that's Park Street. And if you walk down, I think number 7 building, Lafayette stayed in one time, which is just trivia. Okay, so now you get down to the hill, and you see Park Street Church. It was built in 1810.
That's the steeple that we can see in the picture.
And
right
for about 50 years, it was the tallest building because of their steeple, which I think was 217 steps. Now, they were Congregationalists. They believed solely in following the Bible. They believe in the community. They were always really, really good to the community. And that's what they want, a community of people that will be good to people that have less. And they've done that for over 200 years. They had the first Sunday school ever. They had a mission, and this is in the 1800s. They had a mission that went to Hawaii, and it still is going on. They also helped with prisoners that get out of jail, trying to get them on their feet. They're really a very giving church. And there was, they also are the first place that sang the song America. Does anybody remember it? I bet you remember it. My Country Tears of the same song. So I know I went to school and we had to sing it every morning. And I believe that I still know the first verse. Anybody want to sing it? No? Let's see who remembers and who doesn't. You wouldn't remember. You're a baby. So,
Thee I sing.
land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, for every mountainside, let freedom ring. Very good. Great. It really gives me a heart because I love that song as a little kid, and I still love that song. I love the country. Okay, so Park Street Church.
Yeah, you will see in going past the church, as well as kind of going up and down through the common, a narrow line 2 bricks wide, which is marking the Freedom Trail. Now, when Peggy's photographer was taking pictures this winter, the snowbanks were so high that it covered up the trail in some places. So it was hard to tell whether you were following it properly or not. But this more modern map shows some of the places that it goes. It's not big enough to really be readable. But this zigzag trail, it's not a loop trail, and it's not straight either, so it can be a little bit complicated. But it does continue down Tremont Street as you go past the church on the same side of the street. Yeah, right. And this is pretty much what it looks like with melting snow around it. And
Right.
sharply around corners here and there. And the next thing you come to is the granary burying ground.
Right. Now, the Granary Burial Ground, we have 3 presidents that signed the Declaration, signed the Constitution in there. And we have Benjamin Franklin. Everybody thinks it's his grave. It's not. He's buried in Philadelphia, but it's the grave of his mom and dad and children. Not his children, his cousins. And it's that big, well, you can't see that. You didn't go in and take pictures? No.
Well,
Well,
the
you didn't have
snow was
to.
too deep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't go in.
Okay.
And the gate was
Right.
ajar,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
Okay.
But one of the founding fathers is certainly, well, more than one. but
Oh, yeah,
one
John Hancock.
important to us, Paul Revere, as it says on
Right.
this gate. And here's the opening where, you can see I maybe could have slid in there, but not too
Yeah.
easily.
But of course, everybody knows John Hancock. Does anybody remember when they go into a bank and ask for a loan and they'd say, put your John Hancock on?
Yeah.
Who knows why?
Biggest designer.
Yes, he was the biggest signer and the first, I believe.
Didn't want them to
Just
Yeah.
have to squint to see who was signing it. He wanted everybody to know right away, without any question, that it was his signature. Other people would
Right. And the reason he did that was he wasn't fond of King George II. And he said, I want to make sure that he can see my signature without his glasses on. He called them bifocals, I think, on. Yeah, so, but very good. Do you teach history somewhere? No, you should. Okay,
Oh,
there's
so
Franklin's,
the
that's
big
not,
monument.
right, but again,
it's
he's not in there. So, you did go inside, all right.
Well, no, that's just my telephoto between the posts of the front gate.
Okay.
And here's the Paul Revere tablet right on the fence itself, so if the fence was closed. May the youth of today, when they visit this old house, well, this is not the house, but be inspired with the patriotism of Paul Revere. That's what it says on the gate. And Sam Adams Rock, that's also behind it. And again, I was sticking my camera through the fence. This is not quite such a good picture of Paul Revere. But it was one that,
I think it's cute.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you who I am now then. Since we're
Yes,
talking about
that's
Paul
right.
Revere, there was a girl named Sybil, and she was the girl Paul Revere. Now, this is my stick, and I'll tell you why I use it. They told me to watch out for you, that's why. So, anyway, Sybil Luddington was a woman in in Connecticut, yes. And her father, George Washington, had a hard time in New York. I think some of you will know that, with a lot of lost battles in the beginning. And he had brought his militia back because he was coming to Massachusetts to try to help out, but they had no shoes. They were getting sick. I mean, sick and dying. It was terrible. The men were it's just terrible. And he hadn't been home in 3 or 4 months, but he walked in and Dad was home to the kids. And the oldest daughter is Sybil. And Sybil used to help watch out for spies because they were always after his dad, to kill his dad. At one time, she actually lit candles in every room and had all her children, it was 7 of them, light a candle and hold it just to the window and make the British, when they were coming, think that there was a whole bunch of patriots in there. And it worked to keep them away from her father. So anyway, as they were reading a book or something, somebody came in and they could hear the horse riding into the house. And they're going, well, what are they doing? And he came in, the poor guy was all wet, soaking, tired. He had ridden from New York, and Danbury rather. And he says, they're burning Danbury, Connecticut down. They're stealing all our food and all the soldiers' food and all the weapons. and they're just burning every house one after another. They need help. So Washington said, I have nobody. My people have no shoes, no food. They're starving. I can't send them out. They have to have a little rest. So we don't know whether the daughter is the one that asked to go. She says, I can do it, Dad. And or whether he asked her. But at any rate, she says, look, I have a horse. He's only a year old. He's wonderful. I know the trail to go to Danbury from here, and I can do this. And the mother spoke up and said, well, it's very dangerous. You're only 16 years old, and there are robbers out there, people that will rob from both sides and then sell it to the other side. You know, weapons or anything, horses, anything. So the father said, well, I have nobody else. And so she says, I'll do it, Dad, I'll do it. And the mother says, it's at night. I don't, that's tough. But Dad said, no, she wants to go, she can go. She left the house, she got her horse, she left the house, gave her mother a big hug, and she started to ride. In the first couple of hours, it wasn't too bad, but then it started pouring buckets. And the trails got thicker and thicker. There were no real good trails in this area. So she'd get hit with a branch, and it would more scare her than worried about being hurt. She just thought it was something, a gun or somebody shot at her, right? And she would go through that, and she's on the horse, and she's just banging on every house she could find. The regulars are coming, go to my father's house and wait. Well, the reason they said the regulars, it's not true that they said the British are coming, because everybody was British. That would not have been understood. So if you say the regulars, then they knew it was the British that want to kill them. So she did that for another couple of miles. She got a couple of farmhouses banging on the door and banging on the door. As the night came by, all of a sudden the horse got stuck in the mud from all the rain and couldn't move. And she got off her horse, and the horse's name was Star, and she said she was talked to Star. That kept her company. She was very lonely, very cold. Her teeth were chattering. It was horrible. But she said, Star, we have to make it. The people in Danbury are dying. We have to make it. So after a little rest, she got back on her horse. Another hour or so she went, and then she saw smoke from a fire. And she said, okay, I know what this is. These are the robbers that my mother told me about. And so luckily, she was able to stop before they spotted her. And so what she did, she got off her horse and walked all the way, a long distance, all the way around them in order to keep them from seeing her. And she was able to escape from them, which was wonderful. So she rode again through the whole night. Finally, it was almost dawn, and she was so grateful because she could see better. She could see the trail better. And then before you know it, she's back home. It was one big circle she had to go in.
Here's the map.
You got the map? Oh, good. Okay, so there's the Ludington home, and she went all the way around and then back. She got to a place, I think it was called Carmel. She got to Carmel, and she said, oh, wow. She was so excited. There was about 400 troops there. They were waiting for her because the one thing, once you bang on one house, somebody is going to go and bang on another one and another one and another one. And they knew that she was making the ride. So by the time she got back to Dad, she just fell in his arms, exhausted, a little bit of tears, and so happy to be home, but she was home safe. So Washington brought the militia to Danbury the next day. Now, you can't say it's a total success because Danbury was really destroyed really badly. But what they were able to do was to push them back to their ships out in the ocean. And that was at least something. And it was actually big because they would have gone after probably Washington's after that because he was, around. So that's why she's a hero. Now, she didn't become a hero until 100 years later. Because who cared about a woman, what she did? Nobody. You don't praise women for anything they do in those days. And even with the babies, they don't. So it was not found out. And then there was a lot of people that said, no, 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 it's not true, it's not true. And then there's probably 100 books on it, 100 stories. But finally they got a letter that was from one of the relatives, and the whole story was in there. They also said Washington had mentioned her at another letter that he had wrote. And now they have children's books out and regular books out, and it's part of history. So that's why I wanted to be Sybil. She's a pretty cool girl.
Yeah.
I have a few more lines in her. So, okay.
Jump back to the,
Right.
still making our way along those red bricks in Boston.
Oh, yeah, hang on. Sometimes they paint them red also because construction's been done.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
said sometimes it's red paint, and it was pretty much worn off in
Right.
some of the places I was, and sometimes it's
That's true,
red
sure.
bricks.
It's
Yeah,
been there
Yeah.
since the
Oops.
70s, I think.
sorry, yeah. So,
Okay.
So the Parker House is not part of the Freedom Trail, but you have to go by it. So has some interesting things.
There's mixed feelings on that. I know my boss does go there, and especially if it's raining, they let you come in.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
But, and it's on the same street, you know, but anyway, it's a fun place to visit. It's just a little off-site information. That they allow it to be used as a museum in some ways. If you go upstairs to one of the rooms, they'll allow you to walk around. And there's a Longfellow room, there's a Hawthorne room, there's a Kennedy room, they all had their special little rooms that they stayed in. And there was a club called the Saturday Club, and the Saturday Club was all writers, theologians that would get together, because it was all male then. They would get together and they would have a meeting and just discuss everything, the world, just as the world as it was in those days. So they do allow you to go up there and look around, and you can long corridors of rooms. It's really quite cool. You have my picture there? No,
Your
okay.
picture, we
Oh,
kind of
okay.
went by. Oh,
What?
that picture, yeah, we couldn't fit it in.
Oh,
So, I
okay.
mean, it-
It was one of the other stories to go to the more modern times. Jackie Kennedy was proposed to her. No, he proposed to her. Yeah, that was Jackie. Let me start over. Jackie Kennedy proposed to, what was her name? That's awful. I'm having a
John
dog-
F. Kennedy proposed to her.
What was her name?
Jackie was.
Jackie. Oh, that's why I got Jackie.
Oh,
Too
what
many.
was her last name at the
We're
time?
both Jackies. I never thought of that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He proposed to her to get married on table 40 in the restaurant there. You are allowed to go. If nobody's in there, you can sit down and have a toast. And I did that, of water, and because nobody was in there. But they are good about it. Sure, I know. I can't remember my name. So that's kind of interesting. And he had his bachelor party there. And you'll see pictures all over the wall of the famous artists and writers, and it was great. It's just a great tour if you just have a day. And there's a bathroom on the second floor, which you want always by then. Pardon? Oh, that's right. I forgot that. The Parker House rolls were world famous, and the cake. Yeah. Chocolate cream cake. Is it what are the
Boston cream pie is what they call it.
Yes, Boston cream pie, right, which they still make today, and I heard that was an accident. When they made it, he wasn't supposed to put anything, one cake on top of another. Who would know, right? And another interesting thing, not so happy, but the man who shot President Kennedy was actually there in a room, visiting his brother a week before his death. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I think Osborne, wasn't that his name?
Osborne, yeah.
Osborne, yeah. So, okay,
The building next to it is King's Chapel.
yes.
Well, yeah, across the
Across the way.
little side street.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Then you can see it in this picture. Here is another view of King's Chapel.
yes. Now, King's Chapel was ordered by King George II. He wanted something that was truly British and Anglican church. Well, at the time, I think the most interesting thing about this is they had already had a little chapel, right? But they wanted the whole chapel, the whole church. They literally built the church around the little chapel so people could still go in and have services. And then what they did, they had like a party, and when it was all done, they opened the windows and threw all the stuff that was not supposed to be in there out. But it's quite nice church. It's much more, Park Street Church is very plain, all wooden seats, and they buy boxes in those days for a family. And but I noticed I was in there yesterday, and they were all cushioned seats. Everything's ornate. Did you get the picture, though, of the teacup pulpit?
No, no.
Oh, there's one very historical thing. I think it's only one anywhere. And it's a teacup pulpit where we talk from, and it has a top on it. And if you ever get a chance to go in there, it's really quite beautiful. It's a beautiful church. So, and in front of that is the,
Is that a welcoming
where?
flag?
Pardon me, honey?
Is that a welcoming flag?
Yes, it says King's
Yes.
Chapel welcomes all.
Oh, they're very nice. Yeah, oh, today, I'm sorry. Today it's Unitarian, as well as Park Street. And I asked now, you got two of them right within a block of each other, why? She said, well, there is still some difference. So I said, what's the difference? And she said, well, they're all Bible on Park Street, and they're not just all Bible, I guess, down there. So
Okay. And right
This,
in the
oh.
courtyard, yeah,
I love this.
yeah.
They had slaves. This church had slaves. Park Street had slaves. Well, this community felt terrible that we would do that at all. And it went on for quite a few years with different ministers. So they just put this statue up about 4 months ago. It was done by a group of people from the Mass Art. And it took a long time. But if you get close, can you get it? That's as close as you can
Oh,
see it.
no,
Huh?
there's a closer view.
It's I think it's a masterpiece. It's absolutely beautiful. And what it is a slave woman with two birds and just holding her cage. And it's just beautiful. And I guess they voted on what to do and how to make it. But if you ever get it in Boston, take a walk, because it's well worth seeing. Unlike, I think the one in Kennedy, and God, I'd probably go to hell for this, but if you're driving down Tremont Street and you look at that brown one that's got, not Kennedy, Martin Luther King's holding his wife, from the street it looks like a dog just left a whole lot of poop. It's awful, and I'm thinking, what is that? So one day I made sure I went down to see it close up. It's actually beautiful, but somebody made it should be shaped differently or something.
Well, yeah,
Something
I
was
haven't
weird.
seen that angle. But
Yeah.
Anyway, so
But isn't
I
that
do
beautiful?
have a view,
It's just
another
beautiful.
view of that.
And in
the
front of
little
that
bird at her
church-
feet,
Pardon?
and a little bird at her feet.
Right.
And one more thing, when I finished taking pictures of this sculpture, here's what the wording on it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you got that.
2017, they started planning for this. But when I stepped away, a flock of live birds flew up in the air.
Yeah,
right at
isn't that
the
amazing?
intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. And both churches have really some beautiful sayings and kind of apologies. They have sections that are good for a tour of the Black History Month, which is really good.
And next to it is one of the original burying grounds of Boston. So right beside it, King's Chapel Burying Ground,
Right.
1630.
The interesting thing about that is there's a bunch of governors. Dawes that took off on the ride with Paul Revere is buried there. The first woman off the Mayflower, Percy something, I can't remember her last name, she's in there. And outside of that, the interesting thing is when they wanted to bring the King's Chapel and make it large, okay, nobody would give them land. Nobody. Why would they want to? They left Europe to get rid of that church, so why would they want to rebuild it, right? So they couldn't get any land. So what he did, they took over a section of the cemetery, and he said the people won't complain. And they got their church. They also have crypts though inside the King's Chapel down, which you can make appointments to see.
And then you go down a side street, you kind of zigzag around, and you find in the ground a wonderful, somewhat worn-looking mosaic, but you can see it right there, and a plaque beside it. This is the first schoolhouse. So this is the site of the first schoolhouse, I'd say.
Yeah, the first public
schoolhouse
spot,
itself
yeah.
is no longer there. And here's a close-up of a portion of that
Yes, it was right on
mosaic
that
that's in the
spot.
street, yeah. 1635 was when the
Yeah.
school was founded.
And 3 people went there, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and Paul Revere. Paul Revere, they took out of school very young because his father needed help, I think, and doing his gold and copper. And from Benjamin Franklin, they asked to leave because he would argue with every professor he had. And the Latin Church is still, today I'm sure it's very different, but at that time it was still run by the religion. So everything had to be their dogma, even in the church. And he just used to fight with them all the time. And we found pictures of him being whipped by them, and he was like 13 years old or something. So the father took him out and sent him to some other school. They didn't mention what it was. But he's only had less than a 14-year-old education. So I personally, we have to know these guys have to be geniuses to do what they've done. It didn't matter what school they went to.
Yeah.
The others graduated and went on to Harvard.
And, well,
Harvard
so
was,
that mosaic has the letters of the alphabet and a few
Yeah.
words that are associated with them. So, of course, for C, there's cat. So I had to
Oh,
do it.
I
I
know
had
that.
to
You-
do it, Peggy. I'm sorry.
forgive me, I never noticed the cat.
And then right next to that sidewalk is Old City Hall. So this was what.
Oh, I'm not hitting anything anymore. I don't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's School Street, yeah. It is, so not the big, can I call it monstrosity, that is the City Hall now, but this is the old City Hall that stood until 1969, when the brutalist style one that's still in use.
Yes,
was
actually, we have an award. We are what was it, first or third? Either the first or the third ugliest city hall in America. You check that, really. And boy, I agree. And the first question I got on practicing my tour was, with all this beauty, we were down near the hall, and we were near Faneuil Hall, and with this, why that? And I go, I have no idea. And he says, it's German style. He says a lot of German buildings are like that.
Yeah.
He was from Germany. And he said, it's so ugly. And I said, we all agree. You know, you're not getting an argument from me.
Inside it looks like a prison.
Okay.
It's like cinder block walls.
Yeah.
That was the style in the 80s, I guess. But I mean, it looks like a prison, don't you think?
I think.
Yes.
I watched a movie about brutalism in architecture.
Ah, that's it.
And
Huh?
it was because after World War II, all the bombings in Germany and Russia, while they were
Okay.
rebuilding, concrete was less expensive. So they went
Oh.
for brutalist style.
Well,
so
thank
that
you.
could find, build quick housing for families that were displaced.
Thank you for that. He did use the word brutalism too,
Yeah, he did.
and it is brutal. But that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
This is what's there now.
Oh, and I hate
I mean,
that.
inside,
We all get mad.
It's a
It's a beautiful building if we could go in and look around, but it might have been privately owned. Once you get down this street, a lot of it was mercantile, even in the 1600s. So some
Yeah.
things you just couldn't
There's a
grab.
lovely library behind it.
Oh,
The
Pardon?
business library is behind it.
a
yes.
business library, okay, yeah.
A bit, which,
Business.
oh, I don't know that. Okay.
Here's the elegant, still elegant front door.
Oh, yeah,
and the
it's
whole
gorgeous.
building.
That's Samuel
And
Adams.
that's Ben Franklin's
Ben
statue
Franklin,
right
rather.
there. So this is what happens if you nearly flunk out of school and get removed by your family. You get a statue. put
Yeah,
up.
well, yeah.
All the people that did well, no
But gets
statue. put
no
up.
statue for that.
Oh, well,
But it is what it is, right?
yeah, and there he is. Yeah.
And they do have a donkey and an elephant there because a long time ago, you guys are so young, but you know a lot too. You do too, I bet. Did you hear about the donkey? Politics, right? The donkey, the Democrats, and the elephant are the Republicans. So there is a donkey on that floor there.
Yeah, I don't think I took a picture of the donkey.
That's
This is the bottom of the statue. It's not just bad photographer, but there, if you walk all the way around, here's Franklin at his printing press, and there's different scenes from his life on the pedestal too. Then we come to the old corner bookstore, if you keep following the path.
Yes, this was the bookstore is where a lot of these
well,
books were.
it's
Publishing company,
It
yes.
was under construction or under renovation, perhaps, so they've kind of wrapped it in
It's
paper that tells the
Chipotle's
story.
Chicken is the building now. It's sad. It's the oldest building in Boston, and one of the oldest anyway. I think it is the oldest. But you can't see it, and it's not that part anyway. It's down this side a little more. But all the famous authors were here, and many of them had their books published. And they're the same group as like Hawthorne and all the group that was at they'd stay at that hotel.
That's Harriet Beecher Stowe in one
Yes.
of those upper windows.
Right.
Over the many, many
So-
decades and a few centuries, this has had different purposes. There was a pants manufacturing company, and I think you can see the label for that.
And that's where my bank was, next door.
Oh,
Or
okay.
where Ruger's was for a while. I don't know if it's still there.
Yes, it was.
That's where my bank was.
And a few more. It's odd looking because it's clearly wrapped in plasticky stuff, but it's nice that they put information on the front of it.
It
and what
is.
was there and what's
It's better looking than the
business is still
Chipotle sign.
operating. Yeah,
It really is.
and businesses trying to not give people the idea that it's closed while under construction at the same time, so you can get your ice cream in one of the first floor places, and it's a pretty good-sized area. This is, we're following the trail now still to the old Park Street Church. is right
Yes.
here. How
No,
we do-
no, this
doing
is the
on
old
time,
meeting
just
house,
so
Old South Church.
Sorry.
This one,
Um,
Old South Church,
is it?
meeting house.
Yeah, I think I shouldn't argue with you. That looks like, yes, that is Old
Okay,
South
yeah.
Church.
This is where the Samuel Adams said, "There's no more I can do to keep peace," or something in here, with the big 5,000 people crowded into this church.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, though, Paul Revere was already in taverns setting this all up for weeks. This didn't happen it happened in one night, but it didn't happen instantly because of what anybody said. It was all planned. They knew they were already having the guys at the places getting in their Indian clothes and everything. So when he said that then they went over to the wharf and took the tea. And there's a story about, there's a balcony on this, not this one, the other one. Okay, I'll hold that one.
Milk.
But this was a meeting place that was desperate because the Boston State House was too small after a while. And this gave them extra room. And then they built a new church, which is absolutely gorgeous, down in Copley Square, right across from, not quite across from the library on, I think it's, I forget what the street is, but what is that main street that goes through? It's not Newbury. Might be Newbury Street, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, probably. I just wanted to point out the candles in the steeple. I didn't climb up there, they're probably electric now, but of Old South Church. And now we are heading towards, this is, in the foreground is the old State House.
Now this from the Common to the last stop, our last stop is Faneuil Hall, is only 1 mile. It's a very easy walk. The whole Freedom Trail is 2.5 miles. It goes from the Common to Bunker Hill. But that gets a lot, they split them up. But a lot of times that's a lot for somebody to walk 2.5 miles. They have to go over the bridge and then they go up. And so there's an extra, and it also allows them to have extra trails going on, tours. There's 16,000 people that took tours last year. Not bad, huh?
And they're free.
No.
No?
You can get free tours in the Common and here and there around Boston, done by the Heritage Society, but ours are not free, no. Ours, I think the one I'm doing is $20, but it's worth it. You don't go in. The other ones, a lot of times they'll give you a tour, and while you're inside there, you can go in. I mean, you can always go in, but if you're on our tour, we don't bring them in. We just do the outside, what I'm doing now. So,
Okay, that's.
okay, here
just
we
a
have the
few
old
more
State
views
House.
of the State House,
That's
yeah.
why we call the big one 200 years old already, and it's the new one, okay? So,
Yeah,
the
so-
two
No
gold
gold
things up there were given, I'm sorry, are time capsules. And they were given by the, I think it was Austria one, and maybe I think France the other, was given to this building when the British took it over. Well, the one on the left was broken and taken, and it was, I don't know if it was deliberate or what. I guess they thought it was stolen. No, this one wasn't stolen. It just got hurt. And it disappeared for a while. But anyway, it got opened, and they found coins and all kinds of records from different patriots in it that were 200 years old. How cool is that, you know? And they did fix it, and they put it back up. Again, it was broken again, though, during the Revolution. And they actually had to redo both of them. When the war started, the British came in and destroyed that place. So that was kind of interesting. Oh, and there was another one,
A
cupola.
close-up of each end.
Huh?
I think I have close-ups of each end of the building.
Yeah, oh, it's beautiful.
And
I
it
love
is-
that. I happen
yeah,
to see
a lot
that
of
myself.
detail.
Yeah,
Very nice. And then this is the entrance door if you want to go inside.
right. And I believe this is the oldest building in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's under repair now, so it's a little bit hard. But this building has a great room in it. Oh, I'm kind of a clown sometimes, maybe, or try to be. But when I walked in that room, my heart went, oh my God. And there are just gorgeous, gorgeous pictures of the Revolution. But beyond that, uniforms of every war since 1812, and even the Vietnam War, and their uniforms and their medals and their, all the glory. And it's just breathtaking to see. And that's, I think, $5 to see or something, but you could sneak in anyway. Oh, I wouldn't do that. But it is, it's just, some of this just hits you so hard with patriotic, and that's why I do it. I want to do this because I love my country, and I know we all do. But I think something was missing in your generation, and maybe you're both about the same age, but in the 50s even, that they didn't talk about democracy enough, that they didn't tell their kids what patriotism is. They didn't teach them what it means. And probably because they were exhausted from World War II, and then after World War II, that's all you heard for years and years and years, and they just probably wanted to let go. But we had Vietnam, and we had so many others. And that's probably why Vietnam poor soldiers weren't treated well. They were treated horrible for a long, long time. And I know, aren't you a Vietnam veteran? Were you in Vietnam? Oh, you were in Korea,
No.
right?
No.
No. Were you in Korea? You told me earlier, I thought.
57 to 59.
57.
Yep. Northern Japan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hokkaido.
Thank you.
Big.
So that generation didn't come down to my kids and the next kids, And my father wasn't a great guy. He was actually an asshole. But I'll tell you one thing, he always said, you live in the greatest country. And he came from Russia. His parents came from Russia, and he came over as either an infant or he was born there. But that's the one thing I never forgot. It might have been the nicest thing he ever said to me, I don't know. But I never forgot it. So,
The
oh yeah, that's
massacre.
the memorial for the...
So, being the month
six.
of March, which is March 5th was the,
Anniversary.
I'm trying to remember how many years, because it's 256 years, I think. I don't do math in my head very well. But anyway, March is a good month to be talking about the massacre, because when I was there this past weekend, the first weekend I went, no memorial, no flowers, but then I went and they had laid a fresh wreath of roses on March 5th. And had a ceremony for the anniversary of the Boston Massacre. So everybody'd see these red roses and would come over and look, even if they weren't necessarily doing a Freedom Trail tour or didn't have plans to look at the history of Boston so much.
Right.
But it was certainly very striking and very effective. Here's another, the
I'm sorry.
Freedom Trail is, this is actually painted on. So some places it's a bit worn. Another
Yeah,
reason that it's
and it's
about-
been moved 3 times, believe it or not. Actual
Yeah.
spot would be in the middle of the road with all that
Yeah.
traffic, so they had to move it again.
And we
So
kind
it's
of,
interesting.
I think, we're not going over the bridge into Charlestown, but you can recognize Faneuil Hall, Faneuil Hall, behind this scene. This is actually on the plaza of that brutalist building we've just been discussing. But I ran into people dressed in
love it.
Revolutionary War clothes, and I chased them, and then the do not walk sign would come on, and I chased them. Which direction did they go? Okay, I guess I lost them. And then I came around the corner, and there they were. And I came running up to say, would you mind? They saw me with my camera sticking out, and they looked as delighted to see me as I was to see them.
It's a great shot.
So, yes, so we had fun.
It might be all our new trainees, all ready
Could
to
be.
go.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, maybe.
so,
So,
did you have anything on the Faneuil Hall?
okay, there's just a few at the end, because I didn't know if you were going to talk about it.
I
There's
can
Sam
for just a
Adams
few
in
minutes,
front
huh?
of it.
Yeah.
Yes, there's
Do you have time?
Sam Adams in front of Faneuil
Right.
Hall.
Yes, he did-
Quincy Market next to it, and the north and
Right.
south markets.
Well, we don't
Okay,
go-
we're not going to go to the Custom House
Okay,
today.
the old Faneuil Hall is what we go to. We don't go to the big one. But when there's a conflict of how you pronounce Faneuil. So I asked one of the historians, and she said Faneuil. So Faneuil. But for years I've said Faneuil. So,
Yeah.
but anyway,
I think it's 2 syllables now, but old habits die very hard.
so Peter Faneuil was the richest man of all Massachusetts, and he wanted to build a marketplace for people. So he went to the assembly, and they didn't want him. Nobody wanted him because he dealt in so much flesh. He was the biggest, the largest slave owner and shipper. He'd take them from one place to another, sell them. I mean, he wasn't a good man. And but then he, what do they call it, juicy up the pot a little bit. And he said, if you do that, I'll give you a hall upstairs, and you can have total freedom of what you talk about. Now, we didn't get that in the State House because the British were upstairs and we were downstairs, and if they knew we were planning anything, they would tell the people, and they'd tell the higher-ups, and the British would come and punish. So actually, they called that now Faneuil Hall is called the House of Liberty, because they could do anything. They had the meetings all over the place, and nobody ever was able to attack them. So, I don't know if that was worth it or not, but they ended up winning by 7 votes, and he got his hall. So Quincy Market came in later. Yeah, right.
Kind
But
of in a
that's
group
it.
there.
Yeah.
Many
so,
people
I
start
guess-
their tour when they start shopping.
Oh yeah, I go for the food personally.
Okay.
Best pizza in town.
Anyway, yeah.
So if anybody has any questions, apologize for my bad language here and there.
I love it.
My bad language. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. No questions.
This has been a lot of
Anything
fun.
to offer?
One
Yes.
question?
How long was Sybil's ride?
The what?
How long was Sybil's ride?
Oh, 40 miles. And it took her all night. Yes. And it's a double the
rain.
ride than he
In
had.
the rain and the mud.
Yeah, it was tough. She was a tough cookie. Yeah, that was something. And Mary Dyer, I might as well mention it.
She was
She
fun on the con.
She was actually hated for a couple of reasons. She was a woman who would help people have births. What do you call a lady?
Midwife?
Huh?
There's another, a midwife.
A midwife, right. She was a midwife, and one of her births went bad. And well, this particular one anyway. And in the Anglican Church, if a child dies too early, it's considered the woman is evil. The woman that she didn't have the baby at that time. She was helping a woman have the baby. So the baby was 2 months actually early, and it was born dead. So they kept it a secret. She asked, actually, it was a minister named Cotton, who was a big guy, what should we do about this? He says, well, you know, if it gets out in the public, they're going to want to hang her because they'll think she's the devil. The devil, you know, because the devil's coming out of her. It's not awful. And so they kept it a secret for a while, but you know, women talk, everybody talks. The secret got out, and that put Mary Dyer in a very bad spot for the next 20 years. And that's why they wanted to hang her. But Cotton had to take the baby out of the ground. And he kind of is hypocritical. And they took the baby out of the ground, and he pretended to look at it. At least they say they did it, you know. And he said it had no head, it had ears that came out here, it had thorns down here, and made it look like a terrible, evil animal. And that's how Mary Dyer was really treated. And her and another woman named Hutchinson, well, actually, Mary she did end up having a birth that was early of her own later on. It only just added to the hatred. So that's a very sad story. It really is. And now that I've made you happy for the night. Okay.
Well, thank you, Peggy.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
that's-
Thank you. Thank you very much.